What's up, guys? I'm back with another movie review. Today I've got one from Synapse Films, and it is The Creep Behind the Camera. So this is the story of Vic Savage, just kind of a shady all-around weirdo, and he made a movie called The Creeping Terror, which was a kind of an infamous B movie for being really cheesy and ridiculous. I did a separate video review for The Creeping Terror, so if you're interested in that, check it out in the movie review playlist. So anyway, this piece is, it's not so much a movie. It's kind of like a series of dramatic reenactments of things that happened in Vic Savage's life. These are intercut with interviews of people who were directly involved, like the producers, actors, some of the people who were part of Savage's personal life. I think it's a fun movie to watch. I do think, though, that given how serious some of the topics are, the reenactments are kind of ridiculously campy, which makes them super fun to watch, but at the same time, it kind of dampens the seriousness of the subject matter. Like when his ex-wife is talking about the abuse she endured, like when it's presented in such a goofy way, it's kind of, seems like they're almost making light of it, but I don't think that's the case. But anyway, it's just really, the performances are super over the top, super campy, super hammy. The guy who plays Vic Savage just completely rockets into outer space with this crazy performance. And I understand they're trying to paint a picture of just what a lunatic this guy was, so I know why he went so crazy with it, but man, he really goes over the top with it. They're fun to watch and they're interesting. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know that much about him. I find it hard to believe that everyone working on The Creeping Terror thought that it was a terrible movie and that nothing was ever going to come of it, because then why would they keep working on it when they weren't being paid hardly anything? I think they probably, like most people who work on a low-budget indie movie, thought it was going to be like the next big thing, and it wasn't. But the movie presents it like everybody thinks the movie is garbage except for this guy, and that seems a little hard to believe that was the case. It's entertaining. I do wish there was more of the interviews, because that's what I thought was the most interesting part of The Creep Behind the Camera, was hearing from the people who were directly involved in the production and who had personal firsthand knowledge of the things that Vic Savage was up to. It's some crazy stuff. I mean, if it's all true, like some of the stuff this guy did, very interesting, crazy story. Again, I wish that, either the reenactments were a little bit more grounded, or it would just went straight up documentary and just interviewed the people. But it's a decent watch, and it's definitely one that if you're interested in kind of the other side of movies, like behind the scenes, and believe me, Vic Savage is a crazy guy, but I'm sure there's a million other stories of guys who were just as shady and manipulative as this guy when it came to making movies. So I think from that perspective, it's interesting. I thought it was a solid watch. I was never bored with it. It does have a little bit of male nudity, some craziness. It's got him putting on a fake Hitler mustache while he's naked to shout at himself in the mirror. It doesn't really have much blood. It's got a little bit, not too much. The dialogue-wise, it's just kind of got some crazy lines from him because he's such an over-the-top kind of a guy. It's fine. It's nothing spectacular, but if you're interested in old B movies, it's definitely an interesting story. Or if you're just interested in how movies, the behind the scenes of movies. The Blu-ray is from Synapse Films. It's a newer movie. It looks really good. The transfer's great. It's got audio commentary tracks, featurettes, deleted scenes, trailers, stuff like that. And what I think is the best extra on this is it's got a new 2K scan of The Creeping Terror. If you ever thought The Creeping Terror was going to get a 2K scan, you are a much more optimistic person than I am. I was thrilled to have a 2K scan of The Creeping Terror. And if you want to know more about the quality on The Creeping Terror, both movie and transfer-wise, check out my separate review for it in the movie review playlist. Great disc. Creep Behind the Camera is a fun watch. Having The Creeping Terror as a companion piece was genius and a fantastic inclusion. Big respect for Synapse for giving a new 2K scan to The Creeping Terror. Overall, I think the disc is definitely worthwhile. You've got a crazy old school B movie, and then you've also got this wild story about how it was made. So it combines for a really solid release. You can get it at synapsefilms.com or at Amazon, wherever. If you like this review, please do check out my website, markfusion.com. I've got a ton of other horror, cult, exploitation, anime, video games, TV shows, all kinds of stuff. I'm also on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at MarkFusion. You can see what I'm doing there, see what I got coming up. You can make recommendations. You can tell me why I'm wrong about everything. Like most people, that's what most people use it for. If you like these videos, please do drop a sub. YouTube is super crazy these days, as I'm sure you're probably aware of. So when I try to grow this channel, the one thing I can do is point to my sub count, since views drop off and monetization is crazy. So I would greatly appreciate that. Even just one sub really helps out a lot, believe it or not. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I do greatly appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you soon.